Hey, third graders, welcome to Social Studies. Today is Tuesday, May 5th. Let's have a quick flashback on the things we learned last week. Last week, we learned about the economy. Economy is anything that deals with money. We also learned about the difference between needs versus wants. We learned that consumers buy what they want and need. This impacts what is sold and the cost of the product. If there is a high demand of a product, the price may go up. Let's review our target. Our target for today is I can distinguish the difference between human, capital, and natural resources. Our second target is I can determine the basic needs and wants for the United States. So let's kind of unpack these targets. So for our first target, it says I can distinguish, so to show or find the difference between human, capital, and natural resources. So these are three new things we'll be learning about today. We're going to be able to find and be able to tell other people the difference between these three different resources. We are going to start talking about the needs and wants for just the United States. So we're going to determine the basic needs and wants for the people or the consumers in the United States. So these are the things we'll be focusing on today. So what will we be talking about or doing today? Last week, we learned about what the economy is and several important terms that relate to the economy. Today, we are going to use these terms to help us develop our understanding of the economy in the United States. We will also learn the difference between natural, capital, and human resources and how they are used in the United States. So let's do a quick vocabulary recap. We talked about wants versus needs. So a want is something that is desired but not necessary to live. So think about it to yourself. Think about what is something that you desire or really, really want, but you don't really need it to live or survive. So think about an example. Let's think. The first thing that came to my mind is that I want a new iPhone. However, I know that it's not something I need right now, and definitely not something I need to survive. So this means that a new phone is a want. A need is something that is necessary to survive. So take a moment and think, what is one thing that is absolutely necessary to survive? The first thing I thought of was food. You need to have food in order to live. So these are some examples of wants and needs. The next thing we talked about was scarcity and surplus. Scarcity when there is when there is not enough supplies of a good or service. So this means that there's not enough for everyone that needs or wants something. So it's called scarcity. There's not enough. We also have surplus. Surplus is when there is extra or too many of the same goods or services. We talked a little bit about this last week. we talked about how people are staying home more now, so the gas prices have lowered because there's an extra amount of gas. So there's a surplus of it. We then talked about consumer versus producer. A consumer is the person buying a good or using a service. So if you go to the grocery store and buy some milk, you're a consumer of buying the milk or drinking the milk. A producer is the person who provides a service or makes a good. So a farmer is considered a producer because he makes milk. So now we're going to look at these three pictures. The first picture shows land. The next picture shows water. And this last picture shows air. These three things have something in common. It is that they all come from the earth. So this means that they're natural resources. They come from the earth. They're from nature. So what is a natural resource? A natural resource is something of value we get from the earth's environment. You saw the three examples in the slide before. These natural resources can be used to make goods and services people want and need. They are found in nature and are important to humans all over the world. So we can use the land for growing food and trees for building houses. We use the water for drinking, and we also use the air to breathe. So now we're going to talk about human resources, or also called man-made resources. So these resources are resources that are created by humans. So they do not occur in nature. They don't just randomly grow or just show up in the nature. They are made by people, sometimes using natural resources, but they're made by people. So for example, a bicycle is a man-made resource or a human resource. A basketball is a man-made or human resource. And soda that you drink is a man-made or human resource. These are all things that are made by people. Now let's talk about capital resources. Capital resources are goods produced and used to make other goods and services. So materials used by a business to create another good or service is a capital resource. So for example, a hammer is a capital resource because people use it to build houses. A truck is a human resource or a capital resource because it can take human resources and take them to other places. And money is a capital resource. You need to have money to be able to make other goods and services. Now let's look at this pencil. What are all the natural resources needed to make a pencil? Let's think. Let's look at the eraser first. The eraser is made of rubber, which can be made from the sap of rubber trees. Man-made rubber is made from petroleum or oil. These are all things that come from nature. Metal, so this gray part here, there is a strip of metal used to hold the eraser on the pencil. The metal can be smelted from ore or that is found in the ground. Then we have the wood of the pencil. So lumber is harvested from trees and cut to size in a sawmill. And then we have graphite, which is what you write with. So it's the part of the pencil that writes is made from graphite. Graphite, like metal, can be found in mines in the ground. So we do have some man-made resources that use natural resources to create something else. So let's have a quick question. What type of resource is a pencil? Think about it. What could a pencil be? Is it a natural resource, a man-made resource, or a capital resource? You can pause the video and think about it. All right, a pencil is made of natural resources, but it is a capital resource because it is used to do a job. So for example, you can use a pencil to do your homework. So let's review our target quickly. I can distinguish the difference between human, capital, and natural resources. Remember, human resources or man-made resources are things that people make. It's like a basketball or a bicycle. Capital resources are resources that people make to help us do another job or make other resources. So like money, or a truck, or a hammer, or a pencil. Those are all resources that we need to do something else. And we have natural resources. So natural resources are the things that come from the ground. So the food, like veggies and fruit. We also have water that comes from nature, and we have trees that help us make wood. So these are all natural resources. Our second target was, I can determine the basic needs and wants for the United States. So we know there's certain needs and wants the United States has. We'll go over a little bit more about this next week. So now it is your turn. You'll now try to complete the following worksheet. In the worksheet, you will determine the difference between natural, capital, and human resources. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.